And when I started doing that course, everything started clicking. Like, I was just like, I was watching it and I was like, oh my gosh, have they made this course for me?
Hey guys, I'm so excited about today's video. Thank you for joining us. I'm here with Danielle Heap from Manchester in the UK, who suffered from chronic fatigue for over a decade. And many times she was bedbound and she was being told by doctors that she would never recover. But then she found my channel and saw that people were actually recovering and was shocked. It's like, what? People recover? People can get better? Thankfully, yes, for many people this is the case. It's been a bumpy road and there were a few pieces to her recovery puzzle that she had to discover, but now, thankfully, after her decade-long journey, is fully recovered. And Danielle is now a certified breathwork coach and is part of the CFS School team and spends her time supporting others on their recovery journey. And she wants to share her story here today in hopes of inspiring people in the way that the people that she watched while she was recovering inspired her while she was unwell. And I'm so excited to have someone here from CFS School because I've had so many requests from those of you watching to get some information on the channel about this. So Danielle, it's really great to be here. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's quite surreal being here. Like you say, like your channel was the first thing I watched, like after a year of being bedbound, being told that I couldn't get better. And then I came across your YouTube channel and was like, oh my God, what? People can get better? And then, yeah, my journey started from there. So yeah, thank you. It's quite surreal to be here.
Yeah, I love this, how things have evolved. In the beginning, people are watching and I was just happy that people were getting hope, but now so many people are coming on the channel. They're like, I watched and now I recovered. So I just think that's really nice for the other people who are watching. Like it does happen, it can happen. Yeah. So how did this all start for you?
So, gosh, where do I start? I think everyone says that when they're asked that question. So yeah, I mean, it started when I was really young, to be honest. My journey of experiencing anxiety. I think in my teenage years, I was really affected with like bullying and like bad relationships that really started putting that unsafety in my body. I had a lot of like my entire life I've always had these like negative pathways, negative thoughts, and I just thought that was, you know, how everyone thought. I honestly was just like, everyone like thinks like this, don't they? So yeah, my teenage years were really difficult. I always felt like a massive outsider with like friendship groups, and like I never really felt like I fitted in anywhere. And then when I was at university, I had like my first like serious relationship, and I would say that was the start of everything. Like it was a very controlling relationship, very mentally abusive, and from then on, I was just in a bit of a spiral. I got diagnosed with depression, anxiety. I went to Australia to try and like escape from it all for 2 years, and it was great. But now I look back and I was just like in this like dissociation when I was there, like not really connecting with anyone and how I was feeling, just trying to like numb everything. When I got back from Australia, I then started a really high pressure job. I worked for an events company, first of all doing weddings, and then went into working for a events venue, running big concerts for like 10,000 people, which was like, it was my dream job. When I first got that job, I was like, oh my God, I've made it. I literally have made it. This is what I wanted to do. Running like huge concerts, seeing everyone having a great time, and it was amazing. But it was really long hours, like 18-hour shifts back to back, and I was just not looking after myself. I was living on coffee, and I think now I look back on it, what I was doing was just piling all my energy into work to ignore all the feelings that like had come up over the years, and I was just using that job to ignore it. And then everything kind of came crashing down in like 2017. The job became really stressful because there was a bombing in Manchester Arena, and I knew all the people that worked there, and you know, we were like quite a similar venue, so it was suddenly we were having like terrorist training and like all these things, like when I was at work, like all these things running through my head of what could be happening like while I'm like in charge. And suddenly I felt like so unsafe at work, like, but also like unsafe in my body. And that then created the start of my chronic fatigue symptoms. So I then started experiencing crashes twice a year, where I wouldn't be able to get out of bed for like 6 weeks. And at the time, doctors were telling me that like it was just a virus, and that I was just someone that got bad viruses like twice a year where I couldn't get out of bed. And I was like, this can't be right. This I can't be just getting viruses like this. It doesn't seem right. Which obviously fed into more unsafety, like not understanding what was going on with my body. And then COVID hit. I was living on my own during COVID, so that gave me a lot of time to like just reflect on everything that was going on. And then at the end of 2020, I then became bedbound. Like I had one of my crashes and I just didn't get better. And that was the point where I got diagnosed with chronic fatigue. So at that point, I just started a new relationship. I'd been with him for about 6 months. I'd just started a new job. I'd been working there for about 3 months. So it was like, I feel like that also contributed, because it was like a start of a new relationship, obviously, like the like uncertainty of that, like what was going on. And then the job was quite stressful. So I feel like that was like the kind of big explosion of what created me then being bedbound for like a year. And yeah, at first when they diagnosed me, I was like, okay, great, I've got a diagnosis, what do I do? And they were like, oh no, this is you now, this is you for forever. And I was just like, what? So you know, I like, that's crazy. I can't live like this. So
How
I
old were you
kind of
then?
went, I was, that's okay, 32, 33, so I'm 35 now. It was hard to like understand that was like, I'd never actually heard of chronic fatigue before. So to then suddenly be told that literally spiraled me into an even deeper depression. Like I was really low for a long time. I cut myself off from the world. Like I deleted all my social media. Like I didn't have the energy to text friends back or speak to them on the phone. I just completely isolated myself. It was just me and my partner at the time, my ex-partner, living in a house. We moved like to the countryside, which was really nice, like to get out of the city, but it totally isolated me. And I was like that for about a year, just not really being able to leave the house. My ex-partner was like cooking me dinner and like having to do pretty much everything around the house, until someone said to me, like, when I was like pretty much at my lowest, like, I really think you need to speak to someone who is going through the same as you, because I was getting so frustrated that no one knew how I felt. And like, as much as I could explain to someone, like no one knew. Like a lot of the time you don't actually look like severely ill. It's more like the feelings inside. So like no one understood. So someone told me to like reach out to people on like social and stuff. And that's when I came across your channel. And your channel then led me to Jen from CFS School. And then I ended up doing CFS School at the beginning of 2022. So nearly 2 years ago now. And when I started doing that course, everything started clicking. Like I was just like, I was watching it and I was like, oh my gosh, have they made this course for me? Like when they were explaining like, you know, unhelpful states like perfectionism and doing hypervigilance and like your childhood and like maybe like childhood traumas, like through like mother wound and father wound. And I was just like, I feel like this course has been written for me. but not only that, like I felt like CFS School gave me the community I needed, the people like that were all going through the same thing as me. And I just found it so helpful, like just to have those people that could be like, yeah, me too, like literally. Yeah, and then I've been on a healing journey since. I mean, it's not been all uphill and amazing. Like sometimes it's been like so difficult. Like I wouldn't change it. Like it's taught me so much about myself. Like I've learned so much about myself, and now I'm back out walking. Like I live near, like in Manchester, I live near the Peaks, which is like massive like hills, and I go walking out there in the countryside for hours, and I don't have any like issues afterwards. Like I don't have any crashes or anything, and I'm back working full time supporting other people. And yeah, it's just it's crazy to see my journey, like when I talk about it back and like being here now, because it feels like the person before I got sick is a completely different person to who I am now. Like that person, I just felt like I was in this negative spiral, and like I never thought that there was another way to live. I just thought that everyone had those negative feelings about themselves and those negative like scenarios about themselves. I actually, like, a lot of my friends, like I didn't think anyone liked me. Like some of my best friends, I was always, when I was hanging out with them, I'd be like, oh, they don't want me to be here, like they think I'm just a pain. And like now I'm out of that headspace and I'm like in such a better headspace. Like I feel like super sorry for that girl who went through all that, but I just it feels like a different person because I'm like love myself now and like love life. And yeah, it's just crazy to think that that was me back then. Like yeah, I'm so happy to be like on the other side of it and feeling so much better.
It's such a bizarre thing, isn't it? That you can go through something so hellish that you wouldn't wish on anyone, like an absolute nightmare. Those of us who have gone through this, we know what it's like. It is just horrific. But then somehow you come out the other side, many of us, not grateful for the experience, but like, wow, you know, where would I be if this hadn't? Because I feel like it's such a weird, mixed, complicated feeling to have about the situation you went through.
Totally, because the thing is, I wouldn't have done the deep work that I've done in the past like year and a half if I hadn't have hit rock bottom. You know, if I hadn't become bedbound for a full year, I wouldn't have started that work, and I would have never changed those negative pathways and that way that I was living, like that negativity over and over again, and those horrible things I was saying about myself in my mind. I would have never changed that. So I had to go through what I went through to now be enjoying life, and I'm so excited for the rest of my life now, and like the opportunities that I have. And I wouldn't have had that if I hadn't have had that year in bed, like feeling so ill. So it's weird to say, but I am grateful for it. Like I am like, oh, I'm so glad that happened, because I wouldn't have now had this opportunity to have an amazing life from 35 years onwards, you know?
Yeah. Be interesting to see, you know, how they do in the movies. Like, if you go on this track, this is like the ghost of Christmas past and present. Like, where would we be had this not happened to us? I'm not saying it'd be someplace horrible, but so many radically changed our lives and the way we live our lives, and the way we feel about ourselves, and just our emotional state, and just our careers, some of it, like where the countries we live in. It's just, yeah, it seems to propel so many of us just into a whole new place. It'd be really interesting to somehow do a side by side of like, had this not happened, this is where you'd be, this is where you are now. Because I think my head would explode if I saw those two comparisons. Like I would be, oh my goodness.
Yeah, totally.
How am I still that girl? I'm sure we would grow some over the years, but it's growth boot camp for sure. What do they call it? Post-traumatic growth. It is very challenging to achieve the growth that happens during these sorts of times. So I'm really glad that the silver lining for you has been massive.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, I just thought it was normal, like, to be living like that. So I would have never changed if it wasn't for chronic fatigue. So, and now I get to help other people. So yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. And so it sounds like, for the most part, it was what you learned and implemented from CFS school that helped got you to your recovery.
Yeah, so CFS school was like an amazing like start to my healing because it first of all told me exactly what was going on in my body, and why it had happened, which no one else had told me before. Like I had never even considered the nervous system before, like I heard Jen and Cardam start talking about it. So first of all, that was like a reassurance to my nervous system, because just knowing what was going on inside made it feel better. Yeah. So like, and having that. So yeah, I learned with CFS school, I learned brain retraining, and then all about like nervous system regulation, and then like going into trauma work as well. So we got like tools to start implementing day in, day out, to start changing our neural pathways with brain retraining, start understanding when our nervous system was in fight and flight or when it was in freeze, and how to get out of it, and all these things. Like it, CFS school is a 12-week program, and the 12 weeks, I think before I started doing the course, I was a bit naive, and I was like, I'm going to be better in 12 weeks. Yeah, let's do this. I was very naive. Whereas like now I look back, like I know like the 12 weeks is like us giving, like, you know, CFS school giving you a toolkit on like, okay, these are the things you need to do to get better. Now go forth and do it. So when I finished CFS school, I then just started implementing the tools like all the time. And I just saw the progression start to go up in how long I could walk. Like my biggest thing was, before I got like bedbound, I loved walking. I loved dogs, and I used to steal people's dogs, like not actually, like my friends' dogs, like like, can I take your dog for a walk? I used to do a bit of dog walking and stuff, and I'd like go for walks for hours. So when I became bedbound, the thing that I wanted to do was start walking again. So using the tools to then, it gives you like a really good like gauge on how well you're doing with how far you can walk. So I could just see that progression getting bigger and bigger with the tools I was using. So when I was using the CFS school tools, and then when I was doing CFS school, I started using a guy called Breathe with James. He does like loads of down regulating breath works and stuff. So I started doing his stuff, and when I was doing breath work, it was like the first time I ever felt like, after I'd done it, like, I was like, oh my God, I feel calm. I was like, is this how you're meant to feel? like, I was like, oh my God. And I then just became really addicted to breath work. Like I was doing it day in, day out, like around the CFS school tools. So, you know, the breath work was really helping me down regulate my nervous system. And then CFS school was helping me retrain my brain and understand all the traumas, all the stuff, the triggers that I needed to work on to stop my nervous system keep going into overdrive. And then after CFS school, I then dived into breath work even deeper, and going into conscious connected breath work, which is a breath work that releases a lot of energy and helps you connect to your true self more. And then decided to train in that because I just loved it so much. It was the thing that was making me feel normal, and I loved it. So I went and did 6-month training to become a breathwork facilitator. And I think breathwork was like that structure that I needed underneath the tools. So underneath the CFS school tools. So like that stability to then have the brain retraining and the trauma work. I could always, like, you know, we talk about anchors, and that those anchors that we use, breathwork was my anchor to bring me back to safety and to bring me like regulated and feel safe. So it was the tool that I used that meant that all the other tools worked so much better. And I feel like where I am now is because of the conscious connected breathing, because it has helped me go so much deeper with my healing. Like, you know, you can heal chronic fatigue, but then there's probably still a lot of wounds that you need to heal, like traumas and stuff afterwards. Like, it doesn't stop once you don't have symptoms anymore. I think you just continue like healing and connecting more to yourself and embodying true self more. And that's like how I think I've progressed so much, because I've used that conscious connected breath work to really like delve deeper and becoming more in touch with myself.
Yeah, I think that's such a really good point, because there are really great brain training tools out there. So many different ones, and different ones seem to resonate or work better for some people versus others. And they seem quite effective in minimizing or eliminating symptoms in the moment. But when you're going on for the long-term path of your life, something came on, something brought all this on. You know, it was, like I said, some sort of trauma, anxiety, stress, job, relationships, all of the above. So you might be able to get your body, rewired and your nervous system back into that parasympathetic state temporarily. But if you go right back into all of the things that you did, or you still continue to not deal with, things that you've been pushing down, then I think that your body is using those symptoms to try and keep you safe. So they're going to keep kind of popping up. And
yeah, definitely. And I think that's what, once I became like symptom free, like that's what I then focused on. Like, well, what was it that got me there in the first place? Like, what was it that I need to deal with deep down? And that has been a difficult but beautiful process. Like, I've got to know myself on such a deep level and really like become this person that I'm proud of. And I don't think I would have ever been able to do that without breath work. Like, breath work, I know, like, it sounds funny, like that the breath can do that. But it really has, like, it connects. When I go into a breathwork session, everything quietens down and suddenly it's just me. Yeah, all the voices that you hear that are going, the parts that are telling you things, they all quieten down and suddenly it's just you. And it's this beautiful like relationship that you can then have with yourself. And it gives you clarity on like what you need to still maybe do a bit of work on. And yeah, I feel like you can say you're healed, but healing is never ending, I don't think. I think it continues. And I do, like, some people might think that that's a bit overwhelming to think that it's continuous, but I really like it now. Like, I like working to be the best person I can be every day. And that's what I'll just continue doing now. Like, I don't think I'll ever be different to that.
Yeah, and I think that remembering that the continuous nature of it is really important. I've really been working hard to undo a message that I think I was putting out for a long time in videos, that like there's a sort of happily ever after point where you reach, and then it's just the utopia after that. But it just, life challenges keep coming up. You're still going to feel unwell sometimes, and the work just keeps going. And all the tools that got you here, you still keep using. I'm so grateful for all the brain training things that I've learned, from these interviews, because I still use them in my life. And I recognize that, there's just, the work keeps going. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, brain retraining, I think it's one that I still use, like, in my own way, like every day. And like I think you have to, otherwise, like, the brain is so clever and it'll just start going down old pathways again, and you're like, no, stop it. Take this new one. So yeah, you've got to just be like okay with the fact that this is like the way to be and stuff. And you end up like, I still use all the tools that CFS School taught me, but in my own way now. Yeah, I've made them into like ways that I love using the tools. So they're not like, people call it, doing the work. Yeah. And I don't call it that anymore. Like, these are like things that I use because I love to use them. Like, inner child work is such a beautiful practice, and I just think, I use it every day. Like, I talk to my inner child every day, like inner child, my inner teenager, my like inner self that was like bedbound for so long. I speak to them every day, like to to ensure that they're okay. And it might sound silly, but like it's just the way I live now. And I think if you learn to love these practices, then it doesn't seem like the work anymore.
Yeah, and I think that mindset shift is such a game changer. You know, I struggled with meditation for a really long time, and it was just a chore that I was doing every day, and I wanted, or however many times a week, something I was trying to check off. And then it wasn't until I took a course and I gained a different understanding of meditation and more of a proper way, or ability to do it. And now I look at it like a gift to myself. I'm so excited to get to do it. I enjoy it. And if something happens and my day is busy and I don't get to do it, I'm sad. It's like someone took away my ice cream. I'm like, that was one of my good parts of my day. You know, it's just like going for a massage, you know, it's just, yeah. So I think that mindset piece is really important.
Yeah,
looking
definitely.
at it as a gift that you're giving yourself, because it really is. It really is. So you've been through all this. What happens for you now from here?
So, yeah, I'm now a breathwork coach. Like I did my training. I graduated in April this year. The training was in Lanzarote, so that was a massive thing for me. Like it was the first like big thing that I was doing outside of healing. Like I think even though the breathwork training was like to become like a facilitator, I was kind of doing it for myself, really, like to go deeper with the breath. And then, you know, being able to now share that with people is amazing. And, you know, being able to go to Lanzarote, like that was like the thing for me to be like, oh, being able to do that. Like when I was there, we like went hiking up the volcanoes, and that was like the most beautiful thing. Like to be able to do that after being bedbound was just amazing. So yeah, the breath work is a massive part of my life now. I want to share that with people. I do it online and in person in Manchester. The thing that I love is when someone opens their eyes after doing a 40-minute breathwork session and they just go, wow. And it like literally, it makes me feel so good. Like I'm like, oh, I love being able to share this with people. I'm also going to train as a coach so that I can like, you know, I'm already a mentor with CFS School, but I want to do a bit more training as a coach. I'm doing my Reiki training as well, because energy healing has been a massive part of my healing as well. And I want to be able to like package everything I did to heal into one, and then be able to like deliver that to people and be like, okay, well, I can kind of give you like the coaching, the mind body tools, the breath work, the Reiki, like, you know, kind of be able to offer people like a bit of everything, because it is hard when you first start looking for healing, like, where do I go? What do I do? So yeah, I'll be doing that alongside like working with Chronic Fatigue School, which I absolutely love doing. Like I love being able to work for a course that healed me, like, and gave me these tools. And working with Jen and Carden, like the two people that were like the main people that helped me heal, basically. So yeah, being able to carry on doing the work with them, and I think more than that, just enjoying life, because it was nearly taken away from me, you know. Like at one point for a long time, I didn't think I'd be able to do stuff anymore. Like two weeks ago, I was maid of honor at my best friend's wedding and was on my feet all day with her up 6 a.m. Like I was like with her all day, like by her side. And then in the evening, it was a Scottish wedding. So we did a ceilidh, which is like crazy, like dancing. And like I kept having to stop and pinch myself, like that I can enjoy life like this now. And I think more than anything now going forward, my goal is just to enjoy life. And no matter what I'm doing, be it work or like being with my friends, like it is 100% all about like enjoying life now, because I've had a tough life up to here. Like I've not really enjoyed it. I've been dissociated. I can't even really, like when I look back, it's more like a film, you know, of my life. So I want to be able to enjoy it now, and that's my biggest goal. And I want to help other people be able to enjoy their life and get to that stage as well. So yeah, that's enjoyment. That is what I want in my future.
That is a great goal. Oh,
Yeah.
Danielle, I'm so happy for you. I'm so sorry you've had to go through all this, but you seem like you're in such a beautiful place and such a beautiful person. I'm really
Thank
glad.
you.
And thank you for taking the time to share your story
Mm.
here. Of course, I'll make sure everything, for those of you watching, if you want to learn more about Danielle, get in touch with her for breath work and keep following her as she builds her coaching career. Everything you need to connect with her will be in the video description. So thank you so much, Danielle. This has been absolutely amazing.
Thank you. No, it's been such a pleasure to be here and to share my story and give hope to other people that you don't need to stay stuck. You can get better and you can come out the other side.
Yeah, and so much I hear that here on the channel. So I'm going to link up a full recovery playlist. I don't even know how many recovery stories are in there now, but there are tons. So if you're watching and you're needing a little extra dose of hope and inspiration, just take a browse through there, the whole catalog of hope just waiting for you. And our member shout out today is to Philippe Ledesma. Philippe, I'm probably really butchering your last name, but thank you so much for the support. I appreciate you becoming a channel member. And thank you to all of you who are watching. Sending love to you, sending hugs to you. Keep at it. You have totally got this. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something out of it, and I hope to see you in one of these next ones.